I'm excited to welcome Sasank Vemana, Director of PeopleTools Strategy, and now leading the Tools Strategy team with our good friend Dave Bain's retirement. Sasank, thanks so much for joining me.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
You're new to the show, but I happen to know that you've been a member of the PeopleSoft community for a long time. Can we start with you telling us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, it's a pleasure to be on the PeopleSoft now. And yeah, as you say, slightly new to the PeopleTools strategy team. I've been at Oracle for about a year now. And before that, I've been working for customers during a variety of roles like enterprise architecture, development, technical lead, or mixture of all of that. And past, let's say 8 years or so, I've been doing a lot of blogging and also had an opportunity to uh, present at events and attend conferences, and that led to things like advisory roles in the higher education user group and Quest Technology SIG, and also got to be part of the Oracle ACE program. So when this opportunity came up, I think it was too good for me to pass up, and also just because of my interest in people tools and the prospect of working with customers and engaging with them.
Well, we're thrilled to have your insights and expertise on the team, and in particular to join us today to talk about PeopleTools 8.60 and our new release. Maybe we can start with what we've done in the area of user experience.
Sure. So before we get into the modernization aspect, which, as you say, we've done that quite a bit over the multiple releases, let's think about what is Oracle Redwood, which is company-wide initiative. It's the Oracle next generation of UX design patterns that Oracle has come up with over the past few years. And it is not only concerned with UI elements of where users interact with the application. It's beyond that. It's what the users experience when they interact with Oracle in general, whether it's a conference, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a web page, whether it's a people application. So that's the Redwood in a nutshell. So that's what we try to implement in PeopleTools 8.60 as a starting point. So what's in 8.60? We started with the Redwood color palette. So we have that as a theme in PeopleTools. So that's one thing that customers would see right away, because that'll be the default theme. You'll see the new Redwood colors, and also some new icon changes and other images around the application might change, just to have a consistency across all applications in Oracle. So
beyond Redwood, are there other noticeable UI changes that we've made?
Yeah, so this is not related to Redwood specifically, but we've done some layout changes, and let's talk about why we did this. So if you go back to 8.5.9, we did a lot of homepage optimizations. We brought the quick access bar on the left-hand side, the global search on the header, and then the notifications panel. The idea was to have one-click access, right? So users are able to get to what they need to when they land on the homepage in one click. And that was very well received by our customers. And really, I think the next step was to have the similar experience, at least in all the transactional pages. So that's one of the efforts that led to the layout changes. So as a result of this, we're going to have the global search on all transactional pages, with a few exceptions like activity guides. And the quick access bar is now also always going to be available on the header. And consequently, we have to make some space on the header. So we've split that into a system header and a contextual header, where we'll have the page title and some actions related to the page and a few other icons related to the page, because earlier that used to exist on the header where the global search used to exist. So it's some layout changes, not too drastic, but it's going to be nice in 8.60.
I know customers are going to be very excited about having the quick access bar and search always available on the header. I remember that was the first request that we saw come through when customers saw what we were doing in PeopleTools 8.5.9. They said, we love it. We want to be able to access it all the time.
That's right. Global search, again, another area where I would encourage customers to start uptaking that, because it's available in 8.5.9 right now. And, the search suggestions and everything really makes the search first navigation a really compelling prospect for our users. So,
sticking with the topic of search, perhaps one of the highest impact features we've invested in in Tools 8.60 is configurable search. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So again, I want to start with what is the challenge, right? So if you think about all the UX changes, that modernizations that we've done prior, we've done a lot with the UI and also with search, global search and everything. But there's been one challenging aspect of PeopleSoft, that is the component search, where it is always been historically a little bit inconsistent with classic having SQL-based search, having keyword search as an option to configure, and then Fluid has keyword search, but then pivot grids and other things. So inconsistency, which was hard to kind of comprehend if you're not a regular user of PeopleSoft. And the other thing is component search has always not been very easy to customize. It's always been black box before, right? And in the sense that you can only change the search record and a few other things. If it's a PeopleSoft page, customers can open up App Designer and make a whole lot of changes. So that's also been a challenge in the sense that customers cannot extend or configure easily. So that the answer to these challenges is configurable search. And what we've done in that space is a couple of things: unifying the user experience. Classic, Fluid now both have SQL-based search, which is nice for Fluid, which didn't exist. And then just UI wise, there's going to be a lot of consistency of experience. As much as we can bring parity with these two things, which are innately different. And also the other aspect of this is making it highly configurable, which is not something that we've had as an option before. You could change all sorts of things, not just setting up the search record, but also the search criteria, the layout of the search page, and also the results fields, the columns, the order, highly configurable. So that's really an exciting feature that's coming up in 8.60.
And why is the ability to configure search so important?
Yeah, configurable and also just improving the UX. It's very important in my view, is because it's an area that all users end up in that, as they interact with the system, you'll end up on a component trying to search for something to get to your transaction. So I think it's a high impact area, high value if we make it efficient to use. From that perspective, I think there's a lot of UX improvements there. And from a configurability point of view, it's easier to manage and customize and extend. And so that's attractive for the administrators also to manage and maintain some of the changes that they might want to do to personalize that experience. So
beyond configurable search, what other improvements have we made to the overall search experience in the release?
yeah, so search has been something that we've constantly improved over multiple releases. A couple of highlights I'll give you is real-time indexing. Batch switch is something that we introduced recently, and it's also been backported to 8.5.9 actually. And the concept is real-time indexing. We know that we can index data in real time into Elasticsearch without having to wait for the batch process to run. However, there's this challenge with batch programs which create thousands of rows updating those transactions, and it's not practical to have real-time indexing in those scenarios. So what the batch switch does is allows administrators to disable real-time indexing for certain search definitions. As a result, once the batch job completes, the incremental indexing will catch up the data into Elasticsearch and also turn on RTI. So it helps customers to not have to go in and do this constantly. It's just a one-off setting, and it gives them a performance improvement and overall, I think, better RTI performance. Yeah, the other search feature I was going to talk about was data masking support, which wasn't completely available in prior releases. Earlier, if you had to mask or make data sensitive, search framework would completely ignore that and not index that information. But now you can use the data privacy framework, configure your sensitive PII data, and the search framework will index that information and also restrict the results, as well as Kibana visualizations that rely on the search data, and control that. So there's more access control with data privacy as well.
So we've talked a lot about search, which is obviously critical, but that's certainly not the only thing we've done to improve end user experience and productivity. What else have we done in PeopleTools 8.60?
Yeah, so highlight a couple of items. One is the notifications panel that we introduced in 8.5.9 on the right-hand side of the homepage. We now have a markers complete link in there, which is a nice usability feature. If you have a lot of notifications, you don't have to go into a transaction to be able to mark that as complete as earlier. You could just mark as complete right from the homepage. So that is a nice improvement, similar to how we have emails these days, where you can just mark as complete if you know what that conversation was all about.
So we've covered a lot of ground. We've talked about a lot of great features that are going to help end users. Of everything we've covered, what are you most excited for customers to get their hands on?
It has to be configurable search. It's a big feature, and it has high impact. As I was saying, every user would end up interacting with component search. So I feel like that's an area improving the UX and seeing what customers are doing with this, and also potentially decustomizing some of their customizations, and also want to see what they are what the feedback is from the customer, so we can improve this, because this is an area of investment for us and we want to continue to invest in the future releases as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what customers are doing and also getting some feedback.
Well, it's been great to have you here to talk about everything that's in PeopleTools 8.60. And I know you're actively participating now in the scoping process for PeopleTools 8.61. Perhaps a final question. What have you found most interesting or most surprising as you've joined us, from the external community and now come to join as part of the PeopleSoft product development team?
It has to be, the effort it takes to actually bring a feature to life. I think there's lots that goes on behind the scenes. I think that's been quite an eye-opening thing to be part of the product team. There's so many different layers that you cannot really imagine being on the outside. So that's one thing. The other thing I would say is just the team, the way we distributed across different countries, different time zones, yet so it works so efficiently, and that's been I think a good experience being part of that machine that keeps things moving. So yeah, very, very happy to be part of the team.
Sasank, thanks for joining me.
It was my pleasure, Rebekah. Thanks.
Next, stay with us as we get an update on what's in PeopleTools 8.60 for developers and admins. Now, I'm thrilled to be joined by Mike Krajicek, our Vice President of PeopleTools Development. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, Rebekah.
I know this is your first interview, but I also know that you've been a member of our product development team for a long time. Before we get started, can you share just a little bit of your background?
Well, I came to PeopleSoft in August of 1996, actually, from one of our customers, and I was very active in conferences before that. So it was just a natural progression for me to come over to PeopleSoft. I then left to a competitor for a couple of years, but then came back, and I've been with Oracle consistently now since 2000. So I've been around a while.
22 years. That you and I have been working together for a long time.
Yep.
We just got done talking with Sasank about the improvements in PeopleTools 8.60 for end users. What else should we know about what's in the release?
Well, we have many enhancements in this release, many smaller enhancements, some larger enhancements in the areas of integration and reporting, security, lifecycle management, just across the board, just a lot of very good tactical and more significant enhancements for customers to use, for sure.
That's a lot of good stuff. Maybe let's start with integration. What have we done there?
So with 8.60, we enhanced our application services framework to support consumer application services. So that's really the first time we've offered that. And this allows us to have REST-based services for third-party provider integrations, which is a first for us. And of course, we updated the framework to support that, like the App Services Framework Tester and all of that. In our REST services framework, we also focused on being in compliance with Oracle standards. And so now we're able to create and generate provider open API REST services as well. So those are two of the areas within our application services framework and our REST framework that we did for 8.60. Another area that I think is very useful is some of the enhancements we've made to our data distribution framework by providing sort of an automated process for creating and running data science jobs from PeopleSoft, right? So we've integrated tightly with the OCI data science service, and that really allows the user to sort of periodically run these jobs from the data science setup page. The elastic indexes are built for search to be reused as well when we create the models. So it's just a more efficient integration between our PeopleSoft using the data distribution framework and the OCI data science service.
That's great. You also mentioned security, which of course is always a crucial topic in this day and age. What have we done in the release around security?
We've done many smaller enhancements and some more significant enhancements. We improved things like password length, improved password strength. Our customers have been asking for that quite a bit. We improved the access logging as well, which is another request from customers to have more data on the logins and reasons for logouts. We're able to track abandoned logouts, browser timeouts, things like that. And administrators can run reports to give them a lot of that information. So that's new with 8.60 as well. We're able to set up profile expiration dates. So for things like contingent workers, people leaving the company, so we can basically do future dated lockouts of their accounts now. And I think one of the larger enhancements that we made for 8.60 is the data masking support for analytics. So now PII or sensitive data is restricted for certain users in both analytics and global search. It's also at the query level reflected in the display as well. So that's another really nice feature in that area for 8.60.
Okay. You touched on lifecycle management at the beginning. What enhancements have we made there? Because that's obviously such a crucial area for our customers to continue to drive down the cost of running PeopleSoft.
Well, we focus primarily in three areas in 8.60. And the first thing we did is we reintroduced our usage monitor into PUM. For those of you, or for those customers who have been around for a while, we introduced a usage monitor for PeopleSoft Test Framework several releases back. We've now taken that usage monitor, simplified it significantly, and integrated it with PUM. And the primary use then is the data can then be used for impact analysis when creating PUM change packages. The usage monitor itself, though, is significantly simplified. It's no longer sort of tied into our PPM. It's a very easy to set up. It comes as part of the PUM image. It's also self-monitoring, meaning that you don't need a separate database to collect all that data. We don't need to transform that data into something that we can understand. So it's just greatly simplified. The other area that we continue to invest in is our PUM automated updates. We started that investment back in 8.59 in what we call packaging activities, where we can automatically create jobs and schedule those jobs to do certain packaging activities like download packages, apply those packages to the PUM source. Once they're applied to the PUM source, you can create system level packages. And so there's a lot of features there. Moving into 8.60, we moved into what we call source management activities. And so a customer has to set up their PUM source really before they can use it. And that's about getting some of their information out of their target environment so that we can create PUM change packages for that particular environment. And all of those processes were manual. We've also automated most of that now. So, and we also keep it in sync as well. So our various repositories, like the customization repository, test repository, we now have a usage repository and a merge repository. we're able to upload those repositories and keep those in sync and notify you if they're out of sync, giving you an opportunity to get those back in sync before you create additional change packages. Backup, restore PUM metadata, load languages, upload the maintenance log. All of that is automated beginning with 8.60. So some great enhancements. Also, that standalone change assistant goes away with 8.60. You no longer need to have a standalone change assistant to perform all of those activities for you. We go directly from the PUM source now to your target environment with REST APIs, and we just pull that data directly. You still need a CA if you want, when you get ready to apply that package, but by the time you've applied it, we've already created the package for you. We've run what we call the source side steps, and that becomes an initial pass package that customer can just apply to their target environment. So we really streamlined a lot of this beginning with 8.60.
That obviously is a lot of great, new capabilities that we're delivering. Why is our continued investment in this area so important?
Well, we're trying to drive down their costs of applying maintenance to their environments. We focus on automation. That clearly brings down some of that cost, but by introducing the repositories and allowing that customer to understand the impact that the packages that they're about to create or apply to their environments, we can help them understand the impact that those packages have on their customizations, for example, or whether they have tests to test the change that they're moving into that environment, or whether they use those features that they're moving into their environment. All of that information helps customers understand that impact and bring down the cost. They can make decisions, conscious decisions, to bring down those costs with these new features.
So critical in this ongoing journey of selective adoption and continuous delivery. And you mentioned PeopleSoft test framework. We've also made some improvements there. Can you talk about that?
Well, beginning technically with 8.60, but we delivered this new functionality on both 8.58 and 8.59. But we now support recording tests with both Chrome and Microsoft Edge browsers. Okay, so we've had some playback capabilities in PeopleSoft test framework, other browser support, but now beginning with 8.58, 1.8, 8.59. 07 and obviously 8.60, we're able to support both Chrome and Microsoft Edge browsers. So we then dropped support for IE 11 after we introduced PeopleSoft Test Framework supporting those browsers. And with 8.60, we do not support IE 11 at this point. We de-supported IE 11.
Okay. Well, we've covered a tremendous amount of breadth across the release and some of the many capabilities that have been delivered. Maybe just one last question. Of everything that we've talked about, what are you most excited for customers to get their hands on?
Well, we've introduced a new configurable search in 8.60. So that's available for all the different application teams to leverage. And I think that's going to bring a lot of power to our customers and save them some costs as well, because now they can create search definitions and configure those and not have to get their IT involved for simple search definitions and things like that. So it's a very powerful tool. SQL searches, keyword searches using Elasticsearch. So we're very excited about that feature.
That's 2 votes so far for configurable search. So Sean said the same thing. So it'll be great to ship the release and get it in customers' hands. Mike, thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now stay with us as we continue the conversation talking about Cloud Manager and running PeopleSoft on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And now I'm happy to welcome Biju Narayanan, Senior Director of Development, to the show. Biju, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Rebekah. Glad to be in your show.
Wonderful to have you here. Now, you've been the Director of Development for Cloud Manager for a while. Let's start with why it's important for PeopleSoft customers to run on the cloud and why Cloud Manager is important to us.
Cloud is not new for PeopleSoft customers. We've been running cloud for PeopleSoft on Oracle Cloud for the last 5 years. We have a strong lineup of PeopleSoft customers running on a cloud with better efficiency and improved performance. If you look at a lot of these customers are running Cloud Manager to run production systems, right? So cloud means very many things to different people. And if you look at the cloud, it's changed the way how we design architecture and consume applications over the world. And what it means for PeopleSoft customers, there are two takeaways which you've seen people always worth mentioning. One is it improves agility, the ability for customers to create their own footprints of demo, test, start instances, then apply configurations and provisioning the systems on demand when it's required. That's number one. Number two is the ability to manage lifecycle management. That means if the most customers often is to manage existing applications, say applying CPU patches on the environment, updating the CPU, updating the patches, taking PeopleTools upgrades, do prepare for selective adoption, taking a backup, refresh the environment, scaling up, scaling down, and a lot of operations that you on Cloud Manager. And these are the things that people do much often. And Cloud Manager has a great portfolio of operations, which is very well tested and used by people. So two cracks important things is the ability to scale up, agile way of provisioning environment. Second is operational efficiency through lifecycle management.
And if customers move and run PeopleSoft on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, but don't use Cloud Manager, they can still get value.
Absolutely, yes. Customers can go and run applications directly on OCI without Cloud Manager. But if you look at the efficiency of running on cloud comes with automations. If you run your applications the same way in on-premise, on the cloud, you don't get the better advantages of repeated operations, and the efficiency comes with the lifecycle automation. When it comes to OCI, you use the bare tools within the OCI, like Terraform, basic SDKs, the resource manager to bring up VM, deploy them using PeopleTools. And second aspect, you always can get an opportunity to innovate with a wide range of PaaS services. If you look at their data science, auto ML, auto scaling features, observability and management, there is a huge set of innovation features that customers can take advantage, making an innovative application, taking a part of the entire cloud ecosystem.
Now, when we first started enabling PeopleSoft to run in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, we were focusing on easily starting and stopping environments, but we've shifted our focus now towards production system management. How does Cloud Manager really help customers maintain their production systems in the cloud?
So yeah, the good question. So the first part, we were really focusing on the lift and shift, allowing customers to discover their on-premise system, convert them to DPK, and migrating to the cloud. So that's the first part we're really focusing on. And the second aspect we mainly looking at is managing the lifecycle part, the typical operations that major part customers need to do to maintain the applications. As you mentioned, patching, cloning, the ability to apply selective patching, tools upgrade, refresh, backup, scale up, and so on. So we have a whole lot of lifecycle management APIs that is built on the cloud using the PeopleTools API. And once we build the API, we have enhanced those APIs to bring in the self-governance, self-management, auto-management capabilities, which allow customers to provide a set of rules which systems can manage themselves and continue to operate without taking a lot of time from administrators.
Yeah, you mentioned patching, and patching is certainly a very important aspect of what Cloud Manager does for customers in the cloud. What have we done there recently?
Yeah, patching, we've been supporting patching at least the last 2 years, the ability to apply PeopleTools patching, able to apply PeopleTools upgrade from major releases. And we've been getting a lot of queries, especially in the IT space from different customers about production readiness, where customers need to review the customizations they've done on the PeopleTools objects. So if you want to upgrade from 8.9 to 8.60, customers really require to review what all objects they have changed. Say, for example, there are portal content registry structures, the URL definitions. People want to review and have the ability to review compare reports, SQR audits as a part of the upgrade. So you have the ability now to stop and pause during the upgrade process, review the reports, and once you're done with your assessment of the upgrade impact, you can continue the upgrade process to completion. And if you really want to turn it off, you can get the same compare report by notification through email.
So really the same thing that customers do on premise today.
That's true, yep. Now this is all automated. It just runs through simple interface. A simple nimble interface through Cloud Manager can get you the complete upgrade process, which just takes too much consume time and effort from PeopleTools administrators.
You also mentioned policy manager as you were talking, or the concept of policies. And obviously that's a very important feature that we've put into Cloud Manager. Can you describe just briefly what policy manager is and some of the latest enhancements that we've made to it?
Absolutely, glad. A lot of customers are really happy to use policy manager. So if you look at policy manager, it's an automation and automation. We have the base APIs for lifecycle management, as I mentioned before. And you can use these lifecycle operations, generate policies, and these policies can be applied to groups. Say, for example, if you want to create policy for all demo systems to stop on a weekend, and if you want to start them over a weekday, say, for example, in production systems, you really want to apply patches, and when the infrastructure patches are released, you can schedule the patches probably on a weekend. This is automatically applied when you come back on a Monday. And it also can allow you the ability to backup, or if you want to do a refresh from the production system, you can take a backup and then refresh. And also you can enable this policy to automatically manage capacity of the system. Say if you want to enable the system to auto scale up, scale down, system has intelligent capability to understand the incoming load, scale up, scale down, based on incoming load, allowing customers to manage the system by self-driven policies. So it's a great benefit for customers. And I've seen a lot of people are actually using it in terms of applying patches and managing their demo test systems and thereby saving costs. It's a feature worth trying.
So you mentioned that we can use policies to support one of our newest features that we've introduced, and that's auto scaling. Can you start by just describing what auto scaling is?
So auto scaling is a method or a technique in which we allow customers to get the system decide on how to scale up based on the incoming resources. Say most of the systems, what you've seen working with customers is that the systems are provisioned with higher capacity for the peak load. And what happens is 98% of the time, the system is underutilized and you're paying more for the 2% capacity higher requirements for the entire year. So what we were looking at is an ability for system to intelligently determine how much capacity to be added on demand by looking at the incoming request. So we use artificial intelligence, machine learning techniques to capture the system characteristics. And these characteristics are pushed into object store through PeopleTools, PeopleSoft health and the notification systems. So once it is pushed into the object store, the machine learning system will capture those, do the model training, and figure out there are anomalies in the system. Say anomalies in the sense whether it's highly utilized, the system cannot really satisfy the incoming requests with the current service levels. System would take actions of adding the new nodes. And while adding the new nodes, system will also quantify how much load that is required based on the incoming growth of requests. Say if I am having 1,000 requests coming in, the rate of growth is that in the next 2 hours, there is a 2,000 requests coming in, the system will quantitatively determine how many number of capacities to be added and then scale up the system. And more importantly, it also scaled down, assume when the request of load goes down for a weekend, there is no much usage of system, the system will scale down automatically. So it gives a powerful feature to scale up, scale down, intelligently manage the capacity on the load. And there are certain customers who are not really confident about enabling auto scaling. We still have the ability to notify customers when this peak load comes in. So administrators will get a notification that you need to add 4 systems because the incoming load is going high. You have to add this many systems, which give you quantitative numbers to add, which is incredibly powerful feature.
And my understanding is that the sophisticated algorithms that we're tapping into, they will scale the system up or down or notify customers in the event that they're not ready for auto scaling within a matter of minutes.
Yes, yes. The scale up, usually the time you have looked at is it comes around 50 to 60 minutes to scale up a new node. And that nodes could be 2 or 4, depending upon the incoming request.
What customers have you seen using Cloud Manager, and what are they using it for?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people use Cloud Manager to apply patches. The CPU patches is something I've seen administrators religiously apply, applying patches, managing the environment, say scaling up the system. Say when you want to scale the system, you can do a schedule scale up. If the machine learning capability is not being added, you can do a scale up, schedule scale up on a Wednesday or Thursday if you see resources are being utilized. I've seen customers adding a schedule scale up, and I've seen demo systems, especially if they're not used but demo test, they being shut down on the weekends and automatically started on the weekdays. I've seen governance. These are the things that customers use, and a lot of customers use for updates and upgrades and patching. So these are the main things customers use. And outside of this, a lot of customers use it for provisioning, demo systems. I don't need to mention that, but that's something people always use. But in policy and management governance, and these are the features that most customers I've seen using.
That's great to hear. I know that we're certainly not done. There's a lot of exciting work that we're continuing to put into Cloud Manager. Just in closing, what are you most excited that we're working on and will be coming to customers in the future?
We are also evolving the auto scale features to have predictive capabilities. So if you look at the current method of scaling up, it's mainly a reactive scaling, looking at real-time incoming traffic, take decisions. We are also looking at, based on the history of the usage, we will predict the future business events. Say, for example, if an HCM system have much peak loads every 2 weeks, where the end users are looking at the payroll checks, there is business usage every 2 weeks. So we will look at the business patterns and proactively scale up and generate policy recommendations, which would keep these scheduled policies proactively. And this also could be a business event, also be looking at a week. If there is no usage on the weekend, we can generate policies over the weekend, reduce the number of applications that we use, and increase the number of applications that we use over weekdays, which most open. So you're bringing in predictive capabilities, looking at predicting the business events and recurring events. So these policies are auto-generated for the users.
It's a lot of exciting stuff to come. Biju, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rebekah.
Now, stay with us as we wrap up the show with your In the Know update. It's time to keep you in the know with PeopleSoft. Here are our recent product deliverables. FSCM Image 44 was released in June, followed by Image 45 in August. HCM Image 43 was released in July, along with Campus Solutions Image 26. We posted Cloud Manager Image 14 in June, and PeopleTools 8.60 is now GA in Oracle Cloud Infrastructure as of October. Now for your new educational assets. We delivered highlight videos for each of the update images mentioned, as well as PeopleTools 8.60. There are several new video feature overviews covering features like the new benefit plans comparison tool, the redesigned e-procurement cart and checkout experience, the reimagined response to bid opportunities, and a host of new analytic dashboards. The PeopleSoft blog keeps you up to date on our new features and important topics like Paco's investment strategy update, in case you missed our last episode, key sessions of interest at Reconnect, how to use PeopleSoft to track disabilities, what you should know about Elasticsearch end-of-life dates and why you don't need to worry about them,
Features like onboarding that help bring new employees into your organization, or mobile inventory to track stock in your warehouse, important legislative updates across a number of countries, our latest podcast on what it takes to transition to Oracle Cloud HCM, and a whole lot more. Of course, you can find all PeopleSoft information, videos, and more on the PeopleSoft information portal at peoplesoftinfo.com. And now you're in the know.
Good, Sparky.